Hello, I'm Brad Sherman from California's best named city, Sherman Oaks. I'm glad to be here with Judy Chu, my colleague from the LA area. As Vice Chair of the Armenian Caucus, I join you today to mark the 1,000th day of the unlawful detention of the Armenian POWs and political prisoners by dictatorial Azerbaijan. In 2023, Azerbaijan's military culminated its 9-month blockade of food, fuel, and medicine. It conducted an ethnic cleansing of over 100,000 indigenous Armenians from their homes, from the area of Artsakh, where Armenians had lived for 2,000 or 3,000 years. As they fled, the Azerbaijani forces detained dozens of ethnic Armenians, including the democratically elected representatives of the people of Artsakh. For over 1,000 days, those Armenian POWs held after the war is over, and political prisoners have endured abuse and torture in Azerbaijani captivity. Detainees have shown up, been forced to show up to sham court proceedings. When they appear, it appears that they've been beaten and bloodied. And reporting from Human Rights Watch documents that Armenian POWs in Azerbaijani captivity were regularly beaten by prison officers. They've been denied fair trials, although it's hard to see what they would be tried for. They were the legitimate officials of the Republic of Artsakh, and I guess they would be put on trial for trying to prevent the ethnic cleansing of 100,000 people from their ancestral homes. So they've been denied fair trials, leading most recently to extended prison terms ranging from 15 years to life, again, being held to account in sham trials on the charge of trying to prevent ethnic cleansing. Just this February, an Azerbaijani military court sentenced 5 former Artsakh leaders, including former President, my pronunciation is not going to be Aryak Harutunian, and the former foreign minister, David Babayan, who met with me in my office just a few months before his abduction by Azerbaijani military authorities, and former military commander Levan Minaksakian. These were all sentenced to life in prison following a trial held almost entirely behind closed doors with no independent observers permitted, and 16 defendants were collectively accused of 2,500 crimes, imaginary crimes. They didn't present any evidence that the public has seen. Days later, the same court sentenced the philanthropist and former state minister Ruben Vardanian to up to 20 years, on top of more than a year he's already spent in solitary confinement. Amnesty International called the proceedings against him nothing short of a travesty, noting that civilians were tried before a military court in flagrant violation of any international guarantees. Now, Azerbaijan is ranked by Freedom House as having a 6 out of 100 freedom score. So even Azerbaijanis, native Azerbaijanis, Azeris, cannot receive a free trial in that kangaroo court system, let alone Armenians who have faced the onslaught of violence and systematic bigotry from that government for decades. That is why it is important that the world not fall for the lies of Aliyev, the dictator of Azerbaijan, when he tries to falsely claim this as a criminal matter. According to Aliyev, committing ethnic cleansing and butchery is noble, and resisting ethnic cleansing is a crime. Let's be clear. These POWs' only crime is believing that the indigenous people of Artsakh have a right to dignity, autonomy, and self-determination. This is not a new pattern for Azerbaijan. Armenian servicemen captured during and after the 2020 war were held for years past the ceasefire that was supposed to secure their release. Renewed mass detentions during the 2023 ethnic cleansing simply escalated the strategy Azerbaijan has used to terrorize ethnic Armenians for years. Given the documented executions of Armenian POWs by Azerbaijani forces, including several executions that were horrifically recorded and distributed on social media by the perpetrators and documented by Human Rights Watch, it is vital that the United States clearly advocate for the immediate and unconditional release of all Armenian POWs. That's why I have offered an amendment in the markup at the House Foreign Affairs Committee. I offered that amendment previously. I negotiated changes in it with the chair of the committee, and we now have his support for an amendment to say that America should use all of its tools to achieve the release of these POWs. This should have happened 1,000 days ago. This administration is seeking to secure a lasting peace in the South Caucasus, but there can be no lasting peace until each and every Armenian POW and political prisoner is freed from the Azerbaijani prisoners and freed to return home to their families. Now, they can't return home because it is not safe for any Armenian to be in Artsakh, but at least they can return to be with their families in Armenia. Now, my amendment reflects the growing international consensus on releasing the Armenian POWs, including the European Parliament's resolution adopted in April that condemns Azerbaijan's unjust detention of Armenian prisoners of war. Azerbaijan's response was not to release a single prisoner, but instead to sever ties with the European Parliament altogether. Today we mark the 1,000th day of Azerbaijan's unlawful captivity of the Armenian POWs and political prisoners. Tomorrow, the House Foreign Affairs Committee will finally have an opportunity to go on record and condemn this continued injustice by supporting my amendment and calling on Azerbaijan to immediately and unconditionally release these prisoners.